Hi, welcome to Overflow. Today we have a nice stretch class for you, about 45-minute stretch. You shouldn't need any props, but you're always welcome to grab a blanket or a towel if that'll help you feel a little more comfortable. Okay, we're going to start lying down on our backs. So just come down to your back, any position that's comfortable for you. So kind of like starting the practice in Savasana. You can kind of tuck your shoulder blades under, bring your arms out to the sides, palms can face up, your knees can stay bent. You can always heel toe your feet to about the width of the mat, let the knees fall in and touch. This might feel really nice on your low back. Palms can face up, or you could bring dominant hand to the heart and your other hand to your belly, palms facing down. Just soften your eyes to a close. And just begin to notice your breath. Inhale and exhale. So as you're lying here in the stillness, just begin to find that connection to your breath. Notice that inhale and the exhale. When we focus on what's happening right now, we can't wander, we can't rethink about what happened in the past or anxiously anticipate what we think is going to happen in the future. We can only be here now, in this moment. Just a couple more breaths here. And then I want you just to start to heel toe those feet back in. If you had them opened a little wider than the hips, bring the soles of the feet together and butterfly the knees out to the side. Just a couple of breaths here. Just notice. See if it feels like there's gripping and pulling, tightness and tension. See if you can relax a little bit more. You can always use props to support under your knees if you have those at home. But just try to relax a little bit more. So maybe with your exhale, you think, I am relaxed. Inhale, create more space within. Exhale, release that physical tension. Exhale, release those things that are no longer serving you. And just allow yourself to be fully present here in this moment. And then from here, you're going to bring your hands to the outsides of your knees or your thighs. Start to press those back up. And then you're going to hug your knees into your chest. Little gentle rock, maybe side to side or forward and back. You're going to bring the feet back down to the mat. Line the heels up with the sits bones. Bring your right ankle to the top of your left thigh. And then you want to think about your right knee pressing away from you. Keep a flex into your right foot. Okay. This might be enough right here, just this stretch. Okay. If you want to add on, you're going to reach for the back of your left leg. Start to pull that in. Keep flexing your foot. Okay. Think about drawing your left hip back down, rooting your tailbone down. Push your right knee open. Energetically, a lot is happening here. Keep breathing. Try to relax your shoulders down a little bit more. If you want to add on, you can straighten into that left leg. Maybe walk your hands up a little bit more. Maybe even reach for your toes. That might happen. Okay. So that's an option to add on if you want. Big inhale, exhale, go ahead, release, left foot, and then the right foot. Maybe heel toe your feet open, just do a little windshield wiper with the legs side to side just to release that. And then we'll come back with the heels in line with the sits bones, and we'll switch sides. Left ankle to the top of the right thigh. Keep a flex into your foot. Reach for the back of your right leg if you want to add on. You don't have to. You can keep that right foot flat on the mat. Keep a flex into your left foot. Try to push your left knee open. So you want to think about pushing it away from you. You don't have to actually push it. Just try to think about allowing it to move further. Keep your shoulders relaxed. And then again, you have the option if you want to straighten into your right leg. Maybe reach up a little bit higher on the leg, but keep a flex into that left foot. This is definitely optional. This is only if you need that little extra stretch. Otherwise, keep your knee bent. And then inhale, exhale, release on out of that. Heel toe the feet open, maybe arms to the side, little windshield wiper the legs side to side. You might notice one side seems a little bit more open. Maybe you can rotate a little more in one direction than the other, but there's no right or wrong, okay? And then from here, I want you to go ahead and start to extend your left leg out. Pull your right knee into the chest. Give it a nice little squeeze in. And then if you can, you're going to even start to open that right knee a little bit, moving your knee towards your armpit. Okay, so almost bringing the quadricep parallel to the rib cage. And then if you want more, if you need more, you're going to bring your elbow inside your knee. You're going to lift your heel and you're going to grab the outside edge of your foot. So you're in this half happy baby or this stirrup pose. And then you want to keep pulling your knee towards the floor, but you don't want to roll off of your left hip. So it shouldn't look like this to get into the pose. Keep pulling that left hip back down. Keep pulling your knee towards your armpit. So you shouldn't find yourself in a space where you're struggling to catch your breath. Like if you're stretching too deeply, you'll notice it'll be a struggle to take an inhale, okay? Or you may even be holding your breath. If you are, just go back to just holding the knee, okay? Okay. And then we'll release. Extend the right leg out the length of the mat. Pull the left knee in. Give it a nice squeeze. Again, you're welcome to just stay here if this is enough. Maybe you start to open the knee towards the armpit. Maybe staying here for a moment, or maybe again taking that half happy baby or stirrup pose on this side. Again, just honoring that each side of the body might feel slightly different. Just because you did a posture on one side doesn't mean you need to force your body to do it on the other side. We're looking to find balance, but that doesn't always mean doing the exact same thing for the same amount of time on each side. So still think about those deep, expansive inhales and those slow exhales. And then once again, when you're balanced, release. Extend both legs out the length of the mat. Reach the arms behind you. Point your toes. Get a full whole body stretch. Big inhale. And then as you exhale, pull your knees to your chest. Tuck your chin. Curl up into a little ball. And either roll to your side or rock and roll all the way up. Once you're up, we're going to come into hands and knees, tabletop position. Let your shoulders and your wrists stack your knees and your hips. Take a big inhale, drop the belly, lift the head, lift the tailbone, find cow. As you exhale, tuck your chin around and find cat. Flow a couple times back and forth with your breath. Good. And then you can always start to look a little over your right shoulder, over your left shoulder, maybe sway your hips a little side to side. Maybe even little figure eights with the hips might feel good. You can go both directions. Okay. And then from here, you're going to extend your right leg straight back behind you. You're going to lift it up and over to the left. Push your heel back so you feel a little stretch in your calf, and then start to look over your left shoulder. So you're starting to get this little side body stretch here on that right side. Good. And then you're going to bend into your knee, drop it so your legs are crossed, and you're going to start to push your hips back as much as you can until you start to feel that stretch. So you can just go back as much as you need to. Keep wiggling the hips back. Try to keep the knees stacking one on top of the other. Reach your arms out in front of you. Relax your head. You can always support your head on a block if you need to. Breathe into the tightness, the tension, right? You don't want to force more stress in the body by forcing yourself into the pose. So make sure you can breathe okay here. Next inhale, we'll press back up, uncross your legs, but take your right leg all the way out to the side. And then we'll push the hips back one more time. Turn the toes up if you can, maybe even slide that right leg out a little bit more so you get more of a stretch into the groin. And then again, we'll kind of reach the arms forward. You might not be able to get your hip all the way back to sit on your heel, so it's okay if you're more upright here or you're more here. Wherever you need to go just till you start to feel a stretch in your groin. Make sure you keep everything active and engaged. Breathe into it. Couple more breaths here for me. Good. Next inhale, we'll press back up, hands and knees, tabletop position. Pull your knees together and then push them a little to the right and then a little to the left. And then we'll meet back in center. Let your knees stack under your hips. Go ahead, extend your left leg back and then just lift it up and over to the right. Push your heel back and then start to turn and twist as much as you can to look over your right shoulder back towards your left foot on that right side. Should feel a nice side body stretch. Breathe here. Okay, and then again, we're going to bend the knee, right? We're going to cross the legs and then push back, okay? So just keep pushing back till you feel a stretch. Try to keep your knees stacking one on top of the other as much as you can. I kind of pull the flesh from my calf out of the way so it doesn't feel like it's getting pinched. Just push your hips back till you feel it stretch and pull. You're most likely feeling it in your outer hip of whatever leg is on the top. Okay, and then again, we'll press back up, hands and knees, tabletop. As you unwrap that left leg, you'll take that over to the left side of the mat and then push back, right? Maybe you stop here. Maybe this is where you feel the stretch, okay? Maybe you start to turn the toes up. You don't have to. Again, that's just going to depend on how that feels for you. Maybe you can sink all the way back and sit on your right heel. And then you can reach your arms out in front of you or stack them and rest your forehead there. Just make sure you're relaxed. Make sure you can breathe easily, but you're feeling a little something, a little stretch, right? Not too intense that you can't breathe. All right, once again, when it feels balanced, side to side, press back up. I'm going to slide that leg back in, pull your knees together, and then push your hips a little from side to side. Okay. We're going to find hands and knees tabletop position. Go ahead and curl your toes under, lift your hips up and back, and just find a quick downward facing dog. Kind of stretch everything out. Maybe lift up onto your tiptoes and then press your heels closer to the floor if you can. One more breath here. And then you can either drop down, back down to hands and knees, tabletop, or you can take your right leg back and step it up and find a lunge. And then you can keep your back knee lifted for just a moment. If you have blocks, you can use them here, right? So you can rest your fingertips on those blocks or just have them really light on the floor. Keep your knee in line with your ankle, right? And one more breath here in this runner's lunge. And then we're going to start to drop the left knee down to the mat. Okay. And then you might start to walk your right foot forward. Okay. And then maybe flex your foot, pull your toes towards your face. Now try to pull your chest forward. So shoulders back instead of pulling your shoulders up and then trying to fold. Right? When you neutralize your spine, you're going to feel a little bit more in that hamstring. Pull and flex the foot. You want to point the toes up towards the ceiling. Really engage your quadricep here. Give me one more breath. And then we'll bend back into that right knee. Curl your left toes back under. We'll step back, either tabletop or downward facing dog. It's really your choice. Just need to find a reset. Whichever position you're in, down dog or tabletop, take your left leg back behind you and then start to just step up into that space between the hands. And then if you're in tabletop, go ahead and lift that right knee for me so you can keep that back leg straight. I mean, you can keep it down if you need to, but this is a little bit different sensation. So even if you just pop up for a breath or two, keep your knee in line with your ankle. And then even try to engage through your belly a little bit here too, right? It's okay if your belly is touching your thigh, but try not to just relax and dump it on your thigh. I want you to think about being strong here. Okay. And then we're going to drop the right knee if you don't already have that down. And you're going to slide your left leg forward. I like to untuck my toes on my right foot. And then I'm going to flex the foot of my left, and then I'm going to lift through my chest. And breathe. Right, try to keep pulling the chest forward, right? So instead of shoulders here. And it's also good if you have blocks or something you can prop up on for this posture if you need to. Okay. And then we'll bend back into our left knee. Curl the right toes under, step back into that downward facing dog one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and come down to hands and knees, tabletop position. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand, right outside your pinky toe, okay? And you're going to turn your toes out just slightly so that your toes are open a little wider than your heel. And then if you want, you can always move that right foot forward a little bit, walk your hands forward, and maybe start to straighten into your left leg a little bit more if that feels like a good stretch for you. Okay, you can always kind of shift the hips and work into that right hip a little bit more. You want to keep your heel down, right? So you don't want it to look more like this. I want you to slide your foot forward if you need to, okay? And then if you want, you can take your right hand to the inside of the right knee, and then you can start to lift and roll to the pinky toe side of the foot if you'd like, if that feels good. That's an option to try. Okay. And then we'll release, come back into hands and knees, tabletop, sway your hips a little side to side, and then bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Walk it up a little bit more if you need to. Maybe walk your hands forward, shift a little bit straighter into that right leg maybe. Maybe rock your hips right and left. And then if you want, again, you can bring your left hand and push the knee open a little bit more for an added if you'd like. Okay, and then we'll release. Take it back, hands and knees, tabletop. Bring your big toes together, sink your seat towards your heels, and then we're going to shift back and find quick child's pose. Just reach and extend your arms out in front of you. Relax through your shoulders. And then we'll walk our hands back towards our knees, press up to seated. I want you to go ahead and we're going to find downward facing dog one more time. And then we're just going to walk our feet to our hands or hands to the feet, either one. You're just going to meet somewhere where you're in a forward fold. Tuck your chin, let your head relax. Maybe grab opposite elbows. Now your feet can be as close together or as wide apart as it feels good for you, feels safe and stable for you. Maybe sway a little side to side. And then I'm going to go ahead and just slowly rise just to step the feet to about the width of the mat. I'll turn back to face forward. And then turn your toes out a little, and then we're just going to come right back down into that little squat if you can. If you can, you want to take your elbows inside your knees and then lift out like you're growing up out of the crown of the head. Try not to roll and let your arches collapse either. So push towards your pinky toe, side of your foot. And then one more breath here. Okay. You're going to keep your right foot planted and you're going to try to straighten out your left leg. Okay. It might happen. It might not. You might start to lift your right heel. Okay. Just stabilize and balance yourself as best you can. So again, it's just a little stretch for the groin. If you can, you'll bring your hands to heart center. Keep pushing that right knee open, lifting out through the crown of the head. Really squeeze your quadricep on that left leg. And then you'll bring your hands to the mat. You're just going to shift forward a little and you're going to start to just kind of walk that foot back in, Savasana, and then we'll switch sides. Hands to the mat, start to walk that left leg, kind of slide that out. Okay. Your heel might pop up on that left foot, that's okay. Your toes can definitely point up towards the ceiling on that right. Still try to push your knee open, try to lift your chest. Maybe hands at heart center. Keep engaging through that right leg. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and release, come down to seated on your bottom. And then you're going to bring your right leg in front and your left leg over to the side. I want you to think about both of your legs kind of being at a 90-degree angle. And you're going to only be sitting on your right hip. So your knee and your ankle on that left foot should line up, and then your knee and your ankle on your right foot should line up. And then without using your hands, so kind of put your arms at just these 90-degree bends, okay? And you're going to just twist to the right until you feel a little pull. And then I want you to lift and then try to just switch directions. So it'll go, what it look like I'm facing the back, but you're just going to go back and forth with that. So twist and then open and then twist and then do it in the opposite direction. So here, maybe, so this way I don't have my back to you. I'll try here. And then it's like all the way a rotation around, if that makes better sense, maybe. So you might not be able to do it. That's okay. This is a lot about the mobility in the hips, right? How much can you turn, rotate, and move your hips, all right? So just do it as many times as you can. It shouldn't be painful. Let's make this the last one. Okay, and then back to front. Just kind of bend your knees so your feet are flat on the mat. Bring them behind you for a little support. Just kind of windshield wiper that out. Again, the knees might not go all the way to the floor on those windshield wipers. That's okay. And you might do this instead of that other little 90-90 drill we did. Okay, and then you're going to sit on your mat. Take your legs nice and wide. Shift, pull the flesh out from those sits bones. So you think about getting more of like a tilt in the pelvis. You can always sit on a folded blanket or a towel if you need to. Okay, keep flexing your foot. Keep your chest lifted, and we'll start to hinge. Just move forward a little. Maybe you drop down to your forearms. Maybe you're more up here. That's okay. Try to keep your toes pointed up, especially your big toe, right? Not letting it fall in, but pushing it open. Relax your shoulders away from your ears, even here. Lengthen the spine. Breathe it out. Okay, and then we'll walk back in. You'll bend your left knee for you and bring the sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Keep again a flex into that right foot. Start to turn to the right. Keep your chest lifted. Start to hinge and fold. If you have a strap or a towel, you could use that here. Try to keep your shoulders the same, right? So not one shoulder higher than the other, right? And then just reach. Slow your breathing down. We'll press back up. Extend your left leg straight, bend your right knee. And then again, just kind of shift and turn to face towards the straight leg. Keep the foot flexed, keep the chest lifted, and then you'll just hinge. Again, try to keep your shoulders square, right? So not dipping one shoulder down more than the other. You don't have to touch your foot or your toes. They're just going to come into that fold that works best for you.
Much too slow.
And then next inhale, we'll rise back up. We're going to bring the soles of both feet together. And then you don't have to pull your heels in really close, right? So if you notice that your knees are kind of way up here, maybe slide your heels away from you a little bit more and see if your knees drop down a little bit. Okay, so not so much tension in the hips. And then again, you can kind of pull the flesh out. I'm going to think about a little slight tilt in the pelvis, kind of tilting down and forward, and then keep the chest lifted. Come into that Slight little forward fold here. You can always kind of open the soles of the feet like you're reading a book. Feel that stretch in the hip a little differently. You could always take your elbows just above or below your knees and push those closer to the floor. Breathe it out. You should feel a stretch, but you shouldn't feel like you're in pain. Next inhale, we'll rise back up. Bring your hands to the outsides of the knees, pick those up. Again, hands behind you for support. Open your feet up a little bit wider than the hips and just windshield wiper those out. All right, just a little twist there at the hip should feel pretty good. We'll do this a couple times each direction. All right, next time we take it to the right, leave them there, but push yourself back up to seated. And then pull your left heel pretty close to your left hip if you can. Bring your right big toe to your left kneecap, and then start to twist and turn so that you're bringing your left hand outside your right knee, but try not to just twist in your shoulders and your neck, but twist your belly as well. Okay, and then keep pushing your big toe of your right foot into your left kneecap. Maybe keep sliding your left heel a little closer to your bum. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit of a stretch here in your quadricep and your hip flexor. Shoulders down and relax. Grow really tall. Your left hip will be lifted. That's okay. And then again, we'll take a big inhale. Hands behind you for support. Lift your knees up and then drop your knees over to your left side. Okay. And then same thing, you'll probably only be sitting on your left hip. Your right hip will probably be floating a little. That's okay. Heel can come towards the bum, big toe to the knee. Sit up really tall and then try to think about twisting through your ribs. And then bring your right hand to your left knee. Left hand behind you, shoulders down and relax. Keep turning, keep twisting if you can. Try to kind of lift your right hip and push it to the left as well. Heel can go closer to the bum if you need a little bit more of a stretch. Once again, when you feel balanced, side to side, take a big inhale, exhale, untwist, come back to center. Bring your hands behind you for support. Windshield wiper your legs a little side to side, just to release that. And then we're going to go ahead and slowly make our way down to our back. So back onto your back once you're here, and let your heels line up with your sits bones. Hands down by your side, palms facing down. So try not to let your toes turn out wider than your heels, but kind of keep those in line with your knees. You might even have to go a little almost like pigeon-toed. And then press the palms of the hands into the mat, press the back of the head into the mat. Start to lift your hips, your low back, your middle back, your upper back, and lift all the way up into that bridge lift. Push, right? Like you're pushing your shins back. Don't turn your head and look around. Just lift up as much as you can. You can always kind of support like little tripod arms if you need to. Good. One more breath here. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, lower all the way down to the mat. Bring your arms out to the sides, T shape. For a quick second, we'll just kind of windshield wiper those legs side to side again. And then we're going to extend the left leg out, pull the right knee in. Okay. And then you're going to take a twist. You're going to take that left hand to the outside of the right knee. You can shift your hips a little to the right. Try to keep your right shoulder blade glued down. And then just take that left hand, press your right knee towards the floor. Turn your gaze and look to the right if that feels safe in your neck. Keep pulling your shoulder blade down. Inhale, exhale, right? Breathe it out. Big inhale. Exhale, let it go. Release any tension. Start to feel soft and melt here. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw, right? Pressing the teeth down. Right, take a big inhale. Exhale, we'll release on out of that. Twist back to center. Shift your hips back to center. Extend your right leg out. Pull your left knee in. Give it a nice squeeze. And then right hand to left knee. Scoot your hips a little to the left. Extend your left arm out. T-shape starts to twist and turn. Try not to roll off of your shoulder. Just bring that left knee to the right. Don't forget to breathe. It's okay to open your lips and sigh it out, especially if there's a lot of physical tension there. Big inhale, slow exhale, come on out of that. Shift back to center. This time, hug both knees into the chest. You want your spine to remain neutral, right? So try not to round and lift your tailbone up. I want the tailbone drawing down. And then if you can, you'll stay here. This might be enough, but you might be able to take that full happy baby here. So you'll bring your elbows inside your knees, lift your feet, and then grab the outside edge over by the pinky toe. Keep the feet flexed, but pull the knees towards the floor. Draw the tailbone down. Pull your belly button in. Breathe it out here. And then you can always do a little gentle rock. Shift your weight a little side to side. Always straighten out one leg. Right, if you really like those groin stretches. Okay. And then if happy baby doesn't work, you could always try like this frog position. So you keep your legs at 90, but you just push the knees out. Again, that's just stretching into the groin. So that's an option as well. And then when you're ready to release that, bring your feet to the mat, heel toe your feet open, let your knees fall in and touch. Inhale, exhale here. Just see where you can relax, right? So you can turn your palms to face up, right? And tuck your shoulder blades under. So hopefully you feel like a little tilt in your pelvis so your low back feels relaxed. You can always soften your eyes to a close. Sometimes that helps you relax a little bit more. If you're feeling tension, just going to shift and adjust. And then you can always butterfly the knees out to the side, bring the soles of the feet together. Again, we were here at the beginning. Maybe it feels a little bit better to do it now than it did at the first part of the class if you're trying it now. You might notice a difference, you might not. And then from here, just bring your hand to the outside of your left knee, lift that up, straighten into that leg, but keep your right knee bent. Walk the sole of the foot to the into that towards the inner thigh, but don't roll over onto your left side. So kind of just check and make sure that the eye of the hip bones look level, not that one is lifting higher than the other. If that's happening, support your knee on that right side, okay? Maybe again, soften your eyes to a close. Take an inhale, maybe open the lips and sigh it out. Okay. And then you'll lift your right knee up. You're going to extend your right leg out, and then we'll bend back into the left knee. Take that half butterfly on the left side. And you might notice one side seems to have a little less tension than the other. You can always bring dominant hand back to the heart, other hand to the belly. Again, just check in, make sure your hips are pretty level, but one side isn't pulling you down towards the floor. And then we'll lift that left knee back up, straighten both legs out. Move your feet open to the width of the mat. Let the toes roll out to the sides. Just find Savasana, that final resting pose. Make sure there's no tension in the jaw. Maybe open and close the mouth to release that. Try to let your tongue relax. Concentrate on your breathing. And just start to slowly move out. Maybe brush your thumb to your fingertips. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and your wrist. Extend your arms overhead. Bring your feet together. Point your toes. Get a full body stretch. And then pull your knees to your chest. Give yourself a great big hug. Tuck your chin. Curl up into a little ball. Maybe rock side to side or forward and back. You decide. And then just roll over to your side. Tuck your arm under your head for support. Curl up into a little ball here for just a moment. Pause here. And then go ahead and use the strength of your arms. Press yourself up to seated. Try to keep your eyes closed or a soft gaze at the floor. Once you come back into that comfortable seated position, bring your hands together at heart center. Sit up nice and tall. Lift and lengthen out through the crown of the head. Hopefully you feel a little more relaxed, a little more stress-free. Go ahead and allow your eyes to softly float open. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.